This is Gyapong, and I'm the director and creator of Japan-O-Rama, Dreams of Tokyo. Let's just get it started. So with Japan-O-Rama, I wanted to tell my personal story of my ambition to go to Japan and Tokyo. And I wanted to actually start with where it all started for me. I ended up learning the language Japanese through these types of television shows, these comedy sketches. This is like a sketch comedy show where they do some stand-up. Their name is Downtown. This is Matsumoto and Hamada, and they're like a comedy duo. And this is just an example of something that I found on the internet, knowing that I want to get some shots of me doing what I did back in the day, which was laughing while watching these shows. And this is how I ended up learning a lot of Japanese that I learned. The idea was to get a shot of me laughing to a pretty simple joke that anybody could understand, whether they were reading the subtitles or not. Luckily, this clip that I got was on YouTube that had subtitles in it, so I used that, kept that in the video for anyone that wants to understand exactly what they're saying. It was just a pretty simple joke, and I wanted to start the movie with this kind of a joke so that people could see, how I was enjoying the world over there while I was here stuck at home, dreaming to be over there, stuff like that. For anyone that still might be misunderstanding the joke or not be able to read the subtitles, it's basically a joke of this guy that he went out and there's people that have wigs and they don't even realize they're wearing a wig. Some people just get really relaxed and completely forget they're wearing a wig. And his friend went out drinking with his boss one day, and his boss had his hand all the way up the back of his wig, scratching the heck out of his head. Basically, what the joke was. And he was wondering why he didn't just have like hair on his hand to just hide the fact that his hands in his hair, scratching his wig. Interestingly enough, this introduction that I have put in this movie right now was the very last thing that I ended up working on, and it's the reason why I kind of was stuck in my process. I needed to get this song, this music for this beginning part, and I just didn't know how to set up the vibe leading into what was coming up ahead as the dream sequence. After coming back, I realized I have this great artist that I used for my introduction in my previous short film. His name is Back When. And I just went to his library, and the first thing that hit me was this song. And I decided I was going to use that for my intro, and it would lead straight into, what's coming up ahead. All of the footage that I ended up using for this intro and for some of this dream sequences where I'm in Japan was shot 2016. And I happened to find this guy, George Burt, the night of, just walking around randomly, meeting people. And we decided we were going to get some awesome shots on his stabilizer. And I never worked with a stabilizer for a phone camera before this, so I was really excited about getting some really cool shots. And he did not mind, and he obliged and took some amazing panoramic shots and some nice smooth following shots. Luckily, they were in a frame rate that I could put it in slow motion and have it be really smooth. And I've had these videos for so many years, but it's going on 6 years now, knowing that I was going to use them in a movie in the future. And here I am putting them in my second short film. So the title of the film, Japan-O-Rama, just interestingly enough, a great way to show how we had a lot of panoramic shots while I was in Japan to collect these shots. And the idea that I'm here in this space for the sake of the film is that these are all dreams. It's either my dreams from the future or realistically in my real life, dreams that I've wanted to go back to, their memories that I've dreamed about since going there and wanting to go back. So it comes full circle that way where anyone can kind of interpret the film as their dreams that I'm seeing that I want to be there, or their dreams of myself from the past that are haunting me, or not haunting me, but just reminding me of where I want to be. And that is the true story that I wanted to tell in this film. So this shot of me kind of dazed is basically me coming out of my daydream of remembering the time that I was in Japan, or forward thinking wise, me imagining a time that I could be in Japan walking around the streets of Tokyo. And I really wanted to show like I was kind of dead inside while I was here in the present, thinking about thinking about Japan, and just coming out of that and just deciding I'm just going to go to sleep. It probably isn't the best performance to to display that I wanted to go to sleep, but it is what it is. So I decided I was going to shoot my entire short film in my own bedroom, and I wanted to make use of all of the visual art that I have on my walls to tell the story that I wanted to tell. So I made sure to use all four sides of my walls and all of the tapestries and beautiful photography that I had up on the walls as part of the visual experience that you're going to see. Now, when I decided I wanted to do a dream sequence, the very first thing that came to mind was the YouTube videos of dream-inducing audio, and I wanted to put that in my film as a really hypnotic thing to give my dream sequence a very tangible and dreamlike feel. So I found this video. I wanted to use the color red, which is represented in the Japanese flag in the very circle, the red circle. I wanted to use that as the portal that takes me into the sequence. And so I've been bathed in red. And red in a lot of films has a very significant and powerful meaning. I wanted to make a very powerful entity out of the color red, and you see how that color permeates through the sequences and all of the scenes that follow. This very first wall painting, the ukiyo wave, the most famous Japanese painting of a wave, is an ukiyo-e, which is something that I actually studied in one of my previous classes. When I had to focus on a specific artist for art, I studied all of the ukiyo-e. I forget the guy's name, the actual artist's name. Terrible with me, but all of his paintings had this style, and this is one that I happen to have on my wall. So I decided I was going to use this water theme to usher in, like, lead me into the film. You know, water being a medium of exchange of energy. So I used that, and I thought it'd be cool to have really cool ocean waves that wake me up. And I'm like, this is not very natural. What's going on? And just like in my previous movie, I wanted to have a really cool, dizzying effect. So I had a really awesome twisting vibe where my eyes are open. This is exactly what I did in my previous movie, so it'd be funny if I ended up having a scene like this in all of my movies. I like to have that kind of continuity. I actually want this movie to connect just like all of my movies will connect in the future. Now, this wall of Tokyo lights is basically the one thing from the movie Lost in Translation with Bill Murray, of him looking out the window to see this huge wall of lights. This is the exact street where that scene was taken, and this is the exact thing that I ended up doing. I took a cab and went through this whole entire area. You can probably see the footage now that I'm going to add into the video of me going through the exact same area that he went through in that scene. And that whole ride had been a dream of mine since I'd seen that movie. And something about that movie opened my mind to, like, Foreigner in Japan and that experience. And that might be where it all started for me. So here we are, we have it in the film as one of the very first pieces of the dream sequence. And then the next clip that I have manipulated is a train ride where I just found out that sticking my phone flat up against the glass while recording made a very cool, very smooth record of everything that was passing. So I took that and added some more mirror stuff to it, kept the red theme, and kept it going. Now, the red visual that you're seeing in some of these shots behind my head and in other shots is the visual that comes with the audio that I used to create the dream sequence. The audio, the dreamlike audio you're hearing in the background it's the video that's used in the YouTube video. I also forget to mention that, as you can see also in this shot where I'm passing all the lights, there is a soundscape of audio, people walking in the rain, different things, meat sizzling. That's actually an audioscape that I created for a class previously that I figured I might end up using in a film. So I ended up using the audio from that clip for a whole minute in this shot. And it actually works perfectly because I needed a nice soundscape to play around with on top of, like, people walking. I don't know what it is about this shot, and for some reason this woman made eye contact with me, but I do remember this woman in a way that I feel like I might have met her somewhere while I was there. But aside from that, this shot is very beautiful. It's one shot that I took with George Burt where we got to the middle of one of the most busy intersections right in front of Godzilla Road and Don Quixote, and just got to the center and took a nice panoramic shot. And I was like, man, one day I will have like a film where I'll shoot something like this. But here we are using it in this film. If you know anything about me, and if you know, I've seen some of my previous YouTube films, the YouTube videos about this subject, this area in Japan is just beautiful with the lights, and this is what I always dreamed of seeing when I wanted to come to Tokyo for the first time. This was the dream, and that's why this film is so important to me, because this culminates with this moment and this stuff where like you think about time travel and thinking about things you've done in the past that lead to moments right now. And I kind of knew back then that this moment would come even back then, so I wanted to get something really good, and here we are. We have it, and we're actually working on it. It's amazing. Now, this particular recording of me interacting with this Yakuza has been in the back pocket for so long, and I thought it's a very wholesome interaction, it turns out to be, so I thought why not include it in the video as a nice little shocking punch, like end book to the little adventure of a dream that it's been. So I threw it in here. There may be some logistical reasons why it's probably not good to have it in my film. Maybe not. Who knows? I just will be happy if people see it and see the idea that I had going for it. I'll just say, when this guy showed up and pulled his shirt out, I had already had some experiences with the Yakuza working at a bar/club and having them tear their shirts off and show all that stuff when the night gets really late. So I wasn't really like surprised by it, and I know how to be respectful, so I knew things would be okay. And it's just crazy how energy is, and this guy saw me recording, and from the very beginning of the scene, he had already had his eyes on me and was trying to get my attention. Obviously, him and his wife are like, she's trying to get him home. Maybe he's drunk or something, but I really do wonder how the interaction would have gone if he would have invited me to drink like he did in the beginning. He actually invited me to have a drink with him, but I didn't see himself paying attention to the camera. Like, just passively, if I had gone and had a drink with this guy, man. So that audio for line that you hear is the sound for the ringtone for text in the Line app. And the Line app is the texting app that they use in Japan. When you're exchanging information when you're in Japan, you ask for a line. You ask for their line. You don't ask for a phone number. You don't ask for Instagram. You ask for a line. So the only time I get notifications from Line is when it's from someone from Japan. And I just want to throw that little detail in there. Me waking up right here is supposedly the second dream, the dream before the dream that I just had. And I'm waking up into the original dream where I'm constantly getting phone calls from friends online, or from friends in Japan, promising things, promising so many ways for me to go to Japan. And in real life, this was actually happening to me since 2014. When I went there the first time, I was making connections. So when I got back home, these connections were constantly promising me things that ultimately were not like able to happen. So I was always getting these calls and these exciting moments, but then they would not culminate to anything. And it's still happening right now, where COVID's in the way now. But that's just the story of me wanting to go to Japan. It's me always being woken up by the person that I'm actually speaking to. His name is Mar. It's actually a real person in real life that would always call me and get excited about ways that I'm going to be able to go over there and make our dreams come true. And a lot of times there'd be something in the way, like right now. But this is like a true story of something that happens to me a lot. The book right here is also a really nice insert. It explains how the visuals for the types of films I want to make came from this artist, this photographer, Liam Wong, who inspires the person that made the pictures that are on my wall, Himanshu Shah. This with the comedians' voices starting to show back up again, as far as like, I thought I was talking to Mara, and then it turned into their voices, is how I wanted it to sound in the film. And hopefully that comes across clearly enough, and then you realize you're still in a dream. And here we are back at what we think is base reality, finally. Looking very skeptical, of course. I wanted to get this shot right here, particularly very symmetrical. I like a lot of directors that have a lot of symmetrical shots, symmetry in their shots. So I want to be one of those directors. And that was as much as I could do with this shot, me being skeptical, and well, turns out we're okay. And the theme finally with this movie, just like Christopher Nolan, it's about dreams within dreams. And when do you know you're back at base reality? And that was kind of what I was going for with this ending, with the visuals showing back up on television to let us know that maybe we're not back at base reality quite yet. Or maybe we are. You know, it's one of those, interpret it how you want to. But that is the end of the video, the end of the movie. And that was the kind of the twist ending that I wanted to put in there, was that you never know if you're back at base reality or not. Here you see in the ending, we're using our wonderful soundtrack by Backwin. Thank you so much, Backwin, for letting me use your music in my movies. And then this visual of the big tapestry on my wall that fills almost my entire wall that's right next to my bed. And the light that I used to kind of to shine on there is a cool visual. I shot it. This is the very last shot that I shot the night that I was doing my dream sequence shots. And I have a lot of behind the scenes footage of my dream sequence shots that I'm going to show right now.
Here we are, day one, take one, set, about to go ahead and shoot our first take of the film and our first take of the order of the film. We shot our shot B on the front from that angle facing this way, and now we're shooting the scene where I get into bed. I'm framing out my position in bed, best position in bed for the shot, and trying to make a really symmetrical angle with this middle piece to create a very symmetrical shot, which will be our base reality, so that when things get weird, we'll notice things are out of symmetry. So we are here with the red room setup for the sinister looking but peaceful part of the dream sequence. And we added a little extra effect here for a little dream transition with a lot of stuff that I can cut up, a lot of cool close-ups of me with this red light on my face. As you can see, I have my pillow and an old iPhone propping up the camera here. Trying to get that balance correct. It's not easy, but from the floor to my mattress, let's make that small one just right to get it balanced. I'm about to cut and zoom in on these with the color cone on the sides, probably fix that so it colors in. You can see here, my histogram's obviously a little bit off, but this is a different kind of sequence. Things aren't supposed to look like real life. But the point I want to make here is that you can see here what I'm using to get my lights glowing on this tapestry that's on the wall is by using my little corner light, hitting directly on it just outside of the frame of the shot. Just out of the frame there. And I'm going to be zooming in and out from a really good point in there. Here we are, is now 2 days after filming our dream sequence, and now we're trying to shoot our daytime, morning daylight sequence, and we don't get enough daylight into the actual room from the window, as it's an apartment. As you see, it gets really dark, and in these corners it gets really dark, so you have to use the lighting kit, see what we can do and hopefully get a daylight looking situation here on this waking up shot for the next dream. As you can see here, we're using this the dark reflector to try and create a little bit of a contrast between the light here that I'm trying to use to be my daylight, if I can get it turned on. Come on. Of course, when I'm recording, it's gonna do this. Yeah, so this light. Hopefully create a bit of contrast in the shot to show where the light is actually coming from this direction, instead of it just being splashed everywhere with no meaningful direction. I want there to be meaning in the shot of the light and the dark. Hopefully it makes a difference. So here we are with our lighting setup for scene 2, part 2, second take. And here we have the reflector being utilized with my lighting kit, newer light on the cold light only. It looks like the cold light is making the best daylight coming from the window. And here we are with the camera out in the hallway to get a really long shot. And we're just on the edge of the steps here, making it work. Really long shot to get this frame exactly the way we want it, to have the context of the jacket and the waterfall in the background play a part in framing the situation. Here we are, fourth scene, final scene, the awakening scene. Got my nice little lighting set up to hit me right along with my camera right next to me. Hopefully get a decent shot. And then we got the sunlight supplemented with the extra sunlight, and hopefully get all of these last couple shots done in the next hour and be done with shooting. Cheers. Here we are filming our last shot of the movie. Well, second to last shot. Here we have our key light giving in some good sunlight. Our fill light filling that side of the face in, and then we got our backlight here with the blue light giving a little character and color to the scene. And you'll see what happens here. I'm gonna have a nice symmetrical shot replicating the original shot, the very first shot you see in the film. So this should bring us back to reality, so to speak. And here we are on our final scene, final cut, final takes of our final exit scene, where we will be throwing in our little twist at the end. Hopefully everybody enjoys it. We'll be rotating in that red light for effect. And yeah, this has been fun shooting this, and hope you guys enjoyed seeing the behind the scenes of it all. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the video.